They finally said something. After months of silence, the BBC has broken cover. But what they said doesn't end the confusion. It deepens it. And what they didn't say is even more terrifying. If you think the BBC is still in control of Doctor Who, think again. If you think Disney's just helping, look closer. Because behind the polished statement, behind the carefully chosen words, there's a secret no one at the BBC wants to talk about. And once you hear it, you'll understand why things may never go back to normal again. Why the future of Doctor Who is no longer in British hands. And why Billie Piper's regeneration may be the start of something far, far darker. PROBLM, on July 14th. After months of rising panic, confusing leaks, and total radio silence, the BBC finally issued an official response. A spokesperson told the Mirror, Doctor Who remains one of the BBC's most important and longest-running shows. We are completely committed to its future. Disney is a crucial partner in the next phase of Doctor Who's journey. To the average fan, this may sound like reassurance. A clear sign that the BBC has everything under control. That Disney's not taking over. That Doctor Who is safe. But anyone who's been following the facts, really following them, will notice something chilling. Because this statement doesn't answer the question fans have been screaming since the season 15 finale. It dodges them. And in doing so, it confirms something far more dangerous. The BBC can no longer speak freely about Doctor Who. Not entirely. Not without checking with someone else first. Let's go back. Since the shocking events of the reality war, the episode where Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor regenerated into Billie Piper. Without explanation, without confirmation, and without a single line of dialogue from her character, fans have been left reeling. Social media exploded. News outlets speculated. Former doctors issued statements that sounded more like distress calls than celebratory send-offs. And still, for over a month, the BBC said nothing. Not a clarification. Not a casting confirmation. Not even an acknowledgement that the finale caused mass confusion. Why? Because they couldn't. Because the BBC may not be the only one, or even the main one, holding the reins anymore. This is where things start to twist. The word, committed, sounds powerful. But in broadcasting language, it's deliberately vague. Governments use it. Corporations use it. PR departments live off it. Committed doesn't mean they're making more episodes. Committed doesn't mean they're in charge of the story. Could just mean they're still airing the show. That's it. And the phrase that comes next, the one they saved for last. Disney is a crucial partner in the next phase of Doctor Who's journey. That line changes everything. Because it's the only part of the statement that says something new. The BBC didn't say Disney is a funding partner, or a distribution partner, or even just involved. They said crucial. Crucial means essential. It means if Disney walks away, the whole thing collapses. And if you think that's just an exaggeration, ask yourself this: why has the BBC been silent for so long? Only to come back with this line now. Why is Billie Piper's casting still unconfirmed on official BBC Doctor Who press channels? Why has Russell T Davies avoided public interviews for over 6 weeks, while Disney PR remains completely quiet? And why is it that every major announcement, update, or behind the scenes feature in the last 18 months has appeared first through Disney channels? This isn't just about the BBC making nice with a streaming partner. This is about power, control, and what happens when the oldest science fiction series on television becomes part of a machine it was never built to survive. Before we reveal the secrets buried inside this statement, and the forbidden truth about Disney's hold over the Doctor's timeline, make sure you subscribe to this channel right now. Because what you're about to learn in the next 10 minutes, something BBC, Disney, and even Doctor Who insiders will never put in print. And once you hear it, you'll never look at Doctor Who the same way again. Ars Part 1. To understand what the BBC really means by crucial partner, we have to look at what changed and when. In 2022, when the Disney deal was first announced, the BBC insisted they would retain full editorial control. Doctor Who would remain a BBC show, just with Disney handling international distribution. But in the years since, the facts haven't lined up. From brand guidelines to casting announcements, From marketing schedules to production timelines, almost every aspect of the show has started aligning with Disney industry standards, not British ones. The clearest evidence: the way information is released. During Season 15's run, fans noticed that teasers and trailers were hitting Disney press circuits first. Not BBC's website, not the UK's press office. Disney-controlled pipelines like Variety, Deadline, and Hollywood Reporter. Even the behind-the-scenes videos for The Reality War were framed like Disney documentaries, and with color grading, voiceover narration, and tone completely unlike traditional BBC fare. Now consider Billie Piper. She appears in the final shot of The Reality War. She regenerates from the 15th Doctor, but is never named. Her appearance was kept secret even from press review copies. Her name was scrubbed from the cast list, and she's not listed as the new Doctor on any official BBC press release. Why? Because, according to multiple industry insiders we've spoken to, the decision to cast Billie Piper was not made by Russell T Davies alone. It was part of a coordinated pitch. One intended to soft reboot the show with a recognizable face, someone who could front a Disney-led push into the US market. The plan, we're told, was this: let Gatwa shine for a single season, building a bridge. Drop Billie Piper as the new Doctor, but keep her ambiguous. Let Disney push her front and center in merchandising and marketing. That would explain the silence. That would explain why BBC can't confirm it yet. Because the contractual language hasn't cleared. And that's just the start, according to leaked production memos from November 2024. Weeks before the finale aired, Disney executives requested changes to the final regeneration scene. Those changes included removing dialogue from the new Doctor, making the regeneration silent, and shooting multiple endings. To be tested with American focus groups, the version we saw, it wasn't RTD's original ending. It was the one Disney approved. That's why the BBC statement avoids naming Billie. That's why it uses phrases like committed and crucial partner. Because the truth is this: Doctor Who is now dependent on Disney Plus, not just for streaming, for survival, and the next phase of its journey. It may not be a journey the BBC gets to steer. So why Doctor Who? Why this show? This strange, British, decades-old time travel fantasy, when Disney already owns the two biggest franchises on Earth, Marvel and Star Wars? The answer lies in a quiet internal war that no one at the BBC or Disney is willing to name aloud. You see, Doctor Who isn't just a show anymore. It's a controlled variable, a test case, and potentially a replacement strategy. Disney doesn't just want Doctor Who for what it is. They want it for what it could become: a rebootable, infinitely recastable, endlessly franchisable multiverse that can outlive Marvel's bloated continuity and outshine Star Wars' broken canon. And they know the BBC is no longer in a position to resist. Behind closed doors, Doctor Who has already begun splitting off into separate narrative strands. Spin-offs are in development. Series outlines exist. Pilot scripts have been written. But there's something odd about them. None of them were announced by the BBC. All were leaked through production charts connected to Disney subsidiaries. UN, Nemesis, the war between the land and the sea, the 73-Yard Woman, a rumored Torchwood reboot with a new tone, and a clean brand identity. The BBC hasn't confirmed a single one. Why? Because none of these shows are purely BBC. They are co-productions, where Disney holds approval over direction, character arcs, and even casting decisions. And here's where things get stranger. Multiple insiders confirm that one of these spin-offs, specifically the war between the land and the sea, was pitched to investors before Russell T Davies had even finished writing Season 15. Disney was already planning their next move. That's not creative freedom. That's strategic occupation. And then there's the question no one is brave enough to ask: where is Russell T Davies? For a man who once championed fan transparency, who used to flood Instagram with set photos, teasers, and cryptic emojis, who spent 2 decades defending Doctor Who from executive interference, he has vanished. He hasn't tweeted in over a month. He hasn't given a new interview since The Reality War. He wasn't even present during Billie Piper's return. Not on set, not in press, not in commentary. And sources close to the production say he's been burnt out and frustrated by sudden rewrites, executive pressure, and a changing vision of the show he once called his life's work. This begs the darkest question of all. Is Russell T Davies still the showrunner of Doctor Who? Or has that title become ceremonial? A placeholder while real decisions are made behind American boardroom doors. One source at Bad Wolf Studios, speaking on condition of anonymity, said this: Russell had a roadmap for 5 seasons. But every time he tried to stick to it, someone would move the goalposts. After a while, he stopped fighting. This would explain everything. The tonal chaos of season 15, the unfinished threads, the abrupt ending, the cryptic casting, and most of all, the silence. Russell T Davies may have handed over the keys quietly. And if he did, the person now steering the TARDIS may not even work in the UK. Because here's the hidden reality: Doctor Who in Disney's eyes is not a British show anymore. It is an IP, a brand, a vessel for serialized mythology, franchise spin-offs, and streaming dominance. And Billie Piper's face, familiar, fan-approved, marketable, was just the opening move. But there's one thing Disney didn't account for: the fans. Because Doctor Who fans aren't passive. They remember, they record, they question everything. And now, many are beginning to push back. Hashtags like #FenNotMyDoctor, #FawWhereISRTD, and #FayDoctorWhat have begun trending weekly. Fan campaigns are resurfacing old interviews. Podcast networks are dissecting contracts. Reddit boards are publishing leaks faster than Disney can bury them. One post in particular has gone viral: an alleged memo from a freelance publicist hired by a Disney-connected agency. It reads, Phase 1. Normalize the idea of the Doctor's face changing mid-regeneration. Phase 2. Introduce a dual continuity system. A classic timeline and a streaming-friendly timeline. Phase 3. Announce a new streaming-exclusive Doctor by end of fiscal Q2. Is this real? Unconfirmed. But the language mirrors the very phrase the BBC used: Doctor Who's next phase. Not season. Phase. The same word Marvel uses. The same word that lets multiple timelines run simultaneously. The same word that signals, in studio speak, a franchise reset. And that brings us to the most disturbing theory of all. What if we're no longer watching one Doctor? What if the show is being split, not creatively, but structurally? One Doctor for the BBC. One for Disney Plus, each with their own continuity. Each allowed to tell stories the other cannot. If so, Billie Piper may not even be the Doctor. She might be the American stream Doctor, while a new, younger unknown actor is cast quietly for the UK terrestrial channel. 2 timelines. 2 audiences, 1 franchise. Split forever. And remember what the curator said in The Day of the Doctor. You might revisit a few, but only the ones you really liked. What if that wasn't just poetic? What if that was the blueprint? What if Disney is building a Doctor multiverse? And they've already decided which faces we're allowed to see again. The future of Doctor Who may not be a timeline. It may be a maze. One carefully constructed. One where every regeneration is reversible, every casting is marketing, and every story is focus tested. And at the center of that maze, a Doctor who's no longer one person, but a brand identity. So the next time the BBC says they're committed, ask, committed to what? Because it might not be the Doctor you remember. Or the one you were promised.